Hi everyone, welcome to the first in this series of CEO Confessionals. Today I'm going to share with you how I ruined my Christmas holiday and vacation with my family because I overlooked some obvious things and took for granted others. Stay tuned. Welcome back. So this is an interesting episode for me to share how I ruined Christmas this year. I spent the better part of last summer working on a new book called Activating Champions. This is a favorite tool of mine and something that I'm passionate to share with clients on a regular basis. While I was in France, I wrote the manuscript. I came home in September, gave it to an editor, started having it worked on. And when I got it back mid-fall, I assumed that everything was fine. I had a very quick look at it, kind of in passing, and felt that it was probably, in good shape. Fast forward, I have a very busy fall with work. I'm doing a lot of traveling and so on. As Christmas starts to come along, I'm thinking to myself in the back of my head, those books need to be shipped out, around the 10th of January, maybe even a few days earlier, because I'm on a 2-month speaking tour starting the 23rd of February from Seattle all the way down to San Diego. So that inkling in the back of my head was, I need to make sure that I get those books ordered, everything's in place so that we don't have any drama. Fast forward to the 23rd of December, right about then, that's my last day of work, and it tends to be my busiest day of work. I'm putting everything away in preparation for 2 weeks off. So the 23rd, very busy day. When I finish that day, I have a nice dinner with the family, I have a couple of whiskeys, and I'm starting to kind of slow down into vacation mode, and I'm feeling like I'm in pretty good shape. 2:30 in the morning, and I actually sit up in bed thinking that I'm having a heart attack. The only idea, though, that's popped in my mind is that book that you wrote is a piece of shit. For most authors, there's always that little bit of anticipation when a book's about to launch that you haven't done a good enough job. So I'm not new to this. However, when I wake up, my heart's pumping, and I actually think about waking my wife up to call an ambulance. That's how much of a panic attack I'm having. I don't have these very often, but when I do, they're a real doozy. I calm myself down, I do the self-talk, and I say, hey, you do this every time, relax. I'm sure the book is fine. Go back to bed. Morning of the 24th, I get up, I'm running errands with the family. As I'm packing, getting ready to go up to our cottage for the following day, I decide to stick my laptop into my luggage, kind of hiding it almost. Part of my mind all day on the 24th is the book is a piece of you're going to have to work on it. But that part of my mind that is the critic, right, the part that judges me, keeps on giving me that inkling that I've done something wrong. And the visionary, right, the good part that tells you can do anything, keeps on trying to battle it, saying, book is fine, you do this every time, you're okay. 25th, we have Christmas, and I'm up early and I'm worried. I haven't opened up the laptop yet, but I'm mindful that I have made a fundamental mistake in the way I've written this book. And that's my subconscious talking to me. And so I go through the whole process with the kids in the morning, right? I put on the Seattle Seahawks onesie that I get for Christmas, big smile on my face, making breakfast, videotaping, and I'm playing the role, but it's all fake. The only thing that's occupying my mind is that at some point I'm going to have to address the 800-pound elephant in the room, which is that I've written a book that needs to ship in 3 weeks. We pack up that day, we drive up to the cottage, we unpack, we go out for a family supper with the in-laws, and I can't tell you what we talked about at dinner, because even though I was there, I was on autopilot. The only thing I was thinking about is, what did I cover in chapter 6? Does chapter 4 make sense? Does my conclusion actually match with the introduction? So I've got the hamster wheel rolling like it's going out of style. We go back to the cottage around 10 o'clock that night. Kids go to bed, my wife and I go to bed. I wait for the sleep to come. I can hear some snoring. And I quickly get up, quietly, creeping like a mouse. I grab my laptop out of my bag and I sneak off to the bathroom like I'm a porn addict trying to get my fix. Close the bathroom door, turn on the light but low, lock the door, and I sit on top of the sink and I flip open the laptop and I think to myself, you're overreacting. The book is fine. Let's have a quick look. We can put the laptop away knowing that you've written a great book. I flip open chapter 7, which is just a random chapter that I get to, and I read 2 pages. And I realize that I have written an enormous f***ing turd. Panic immediately comes back in. I go into crisis mode, and I think to myself, okay, today is the 25th. I basically have 2 weeks to get this book rewritten in order to be able to ship on time so that nobody finds out that I have totally messed up. If people find out I have written this turd over the last 6 months, that could be a reputation killer. So I grab the laptop and I sit in the bathtub of the bathroom and I start working the chapter. And I think to myself, maybe just chapter 7 is crap, the rest is good. I do a quick survey of the other chapters only to find out that they're all That night, I work through the night. So let's say from about 11:30 p.m. till about 5 a.m., I work on the book. And as I get deeper into the book, I realize how crappy it is and how much work I'm gonna have to do. Fold up the laptop at 5 o'clock, quietly go out of the bathroom, hide it back under my luggage, go to bed. My wife and kids get up around 6:30 that morning. They're making breakfast. I come out about 8. Remember, I've only been sleeping for 3 hours. And they're all teasing me that I'm already sleeping in. It's barely into holidays. On Boxing Day, we do a bunch of family stuff, playing games, doing puzzles, all that stuff. And the whole time I'm thinking to myself, how many hours before everyone goes to bed and I can go back to working on this book. That night, the kids go to bed, my wife goes to bed, I go to bed, I wait for her sleeping, I get up, I grab the laptop from under the luggage, I go back in the bathroom, lock the door, turn on the light, sit on the sink or the toilet, and I start working. I do this on the 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th. I realize that I'm running out of time. The challenge is I'm working on a MacBook Air, where at home I have a couple of big monitors that I write on where I can compare different versions. But on this little mini laptop, I'm sitting crouched over it, trying to work on this thing, and I'm having a hell of a time. The 31st, which is New Year's Eve, we had made plans to meet some friends up island, even farther than where our cottage is, to have a nice New Year's meal and kind of spend some time together. And just like on the Christmas Day dinner, I'm totally preoccupied. So I'm having conversations, but I'm not really tracking what we're talking about. And I'm just going through the process while the hamster wheel in the back of my mind is thinking, what chapter am I going to work on tonight? We call it quits a little bit early. We go back to our cottage around 10 o'clock that night. Kids go to bed. Wife and I go to bed, wait for her to fall asleep, grab the laptop, go into the bathroom, and I start working on the book. So I spend New Year's Eve sitting in a bathtub, working on a MacBook Air, fixing a turd that has to be delivered in 10 days. Stress levels are at an all-time high. And I work throughout the night. I'm going back out of the bathroom to the kitchen. I'm making myself another pot of coffee. And my wife comes out of the bedroom and she says,
"Wow, you're up early."
I haven't been to sleep yet.
I finally get to the breaking point where I need to come clean with her on what's happening because I need to go back to the big house. So I say to her, sit down, I need to have a serious conversation with you for a second. And so she's smiling, right? And then she's like,
"Well, what's this about?"
So she goes and sits down on one of the couches and I sit on the one across from her. And I said, listen to me, I have totally f***ed up this book. And
She's like, "What book?"
I'm like, Activating Champions.
She's like, "What are you talking about? You've been finished that book for the last few months."
And I'm like, listen to me, I have written a turd and it's going to ship in 10 days. I need to go back to the big house and work on this book for the next little while. She smiles at me and she says,
"You do this every time. Every time a book comes out, you have that little freak out. You're doing it right now. Chris, I'm sure your book is fine."
And I said to her, listen to me, this dog is a piece of and it is going to kill my reputation. So she says,
"Bring me the book, let me have a look at it. You drive to Starbucks, get us some coffee, come back, and I'll let you know if there's any areas that need some attention."
Bring her the laptop, jump in the car, and I drive 5 minutes to Starbucks. I go through the drive-through, 5 minutes back to the cottage. And when I get back to the cottage, I open up the door with the coffees in the holder, and all my bags are packed sitting at the door. And I look at the bags, and I look at her. And I look at the bags, and I look at her. And I say, oh. And she's like,
"I read a portion of your book. It's a piece of shit. You need to go home and fix it."
So I get a big smile on my face because now my secret is out. I grab my bags. I say to the family, does anybody want to come back to the big house? My 12-year-old boy goes, me. He throws his stuff in his bag. And about 5:45 that morning on the 1st, we are headed back down the highway to the big house. Along the way, I say to my 12-year-old, we're going to play a little game called University. You are going to be on your own with me in the house for the next 6 days. You can eat when you're hungry. You can watch whatever you want. The only catch is you cannot knock on my office door unless the house is on fire. He thinks this is a great idea. And so we get back to the big house around 7 o'clock in the morning. I leave my luggage at the front door and I go right into my office. And I flip the sign that says, do not disturb. I don't hear a peep out of him until 6:30 that night, where he knocks on the door, pokes his head in my office and says, can I order pizza? And I'm like, go ahead, do whatever you like. And he says, well, how do I do that? And I give him my phone. I'm like, here's the app, order, you're good to go. I come out of the office at 1:30 a.m. I've been in my office from 7 a.m. till about 1:30 a.m. And I see half of a large pizza has been eaten, 2 liters of Coke has been drank, and all 3 John Wick movies have been watched. This was the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. My wife and daughter stayed up at the cottage skiing, and when they came home, No matter how far you get in business, you're always going to have enormous f***ups. It doesn't go away one day. You don't just get smarter. What happens is they tend to be spaced out a little farther between each other, but they tend to be much deeper. So the takeaways from today's video are 3 parts. Number 1, you're going to continue to make mistakes if you're growing in business. And if you're not making mistakes, you're probably not pushing the envelope. Number 2, anything that you leave that is small ends up becoming big in direct proportion to the duration of time that you've left it neglected. And number 3, writing a book is not properly done in a cottage bathtub on a MacBook Air. I hope you enjoyed the CEO confessional, and again, it's something that I'm going to do periodically to give you a little insight into what it looks like once you're 20 years in business and people assume you have most of your stuff together. But if you stay committed to making things happen, no matter what mistake that you create, you can put a solid bet on yourself to find a way out, even if you fumble your way through it. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, consider giving it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the little bell so that you know when these videos are out. And if you'd like to see what the polished turd looks like for yourself, I'm going to put a link in the description, and here is the final product. See you in the next episode.